All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel here. Welcome to React and Chill. You know what I like to do here. I like to react, I like to chill. I'm going to be doing neither one of those things here. Just going to be talking about BABYMETAL and Poppy. Going to be asking a question in response to something I've noticed and a comment that I noticed on my channel. And I think it's an interesting topic. I think some people are saying, as some people in the BABYMETAL community, BABYMETAL fan base, are saying that Poppy is fake metal, which is interesting, especially if you know BABYMETAL's history and the stuff that they have gone through being called fake metal. So it's kind of weird that there's some in the BABYMETAL community that's saying that about Poppy. Okay, very interesting. Is that where we're at now? Is that where we are at? Yeah, they're calling Poppy a fake metal artist. And you heard that right. And here's the kicker. It's dripping with irony because BABYMETAL faced the exact same criticism when they burst out onto the scene. Did they not? They did. So we're going to unpack this a bit, call out the irony, and maybe spread a little bit of love in the metal community. First off, in case you don't know, BABYMETAL is a Japanese kawaii metal band, metal pioneers, okay? They have been blending J-pop with blistering metal since 2010, led by Su Metal, Moa Metal, and now Momo Metal. You had Yui there for a bit. They dropped their game-changing debut in 2014 with hits like Gimme Chocolate. And Gimme Chocolate has like, what, millions of views, right? But back then, some metal gatekeepers they had some choice words to say about BABYMETAL, right? They were not happy, to say the least. They called BABYMETAL manufactured, not real metal, and gimmick. So someone could say that word gimmick applies, but also applies to a lot of other bands too, like bands that wear masks and jumpsuits, bands that like face paint, bands that like a particular look or maybe even a particular sound, right? Okay. And they mocked BABYMETAL for their choreographic dance, their teenage girls, and all that, their pop influences and all that, because it's strange from a Westerner's perspective. You know, what is this? What is BABYMETAL? Even now, to this day, it's still like you could say band, but the band, does that really apply when it's a kind of a J-pop unit in structure, but then you do have a backing band when they play live and all that? And they're doing really good for themselves, aren't they? Of course, we know. You're here because you're a BABYMETAL fan. You probably have a favorite album, okay? You probably have a top 10 favorite songs, right? But my thing is, while we know that they're doing well, they were not received well in the very beginning. Now, let's talk about Poppy. For those who do not know, Poppy is, in my perspective, a genre-defying artist who started with a surreal YouTube video and videos, the bubblegum pop, stuff like that, okay? And then she started diving into metal with albums like I Disagree in 2020. That album was a chaotic mix of hyperpop and crushing riffs. Think BABYMETAL on an acid trip. And that's a fair comparison because I believe Poppy has said in an interview that BABYMETAL was an influence of hers. If you have never listened to Poppy, she does combine kind of like a cute style singing. You might even say, dare I suggest, a Westerner, an American version of kawaii, just the kind of cute girl singing combined with the harsh vocals. Okay, you'd have to listen to Poppy. You'd have to listen to tracks like Concrete, and that's a good track as a good example here, because fans of that compared her to BABYMETAL for its wild blend of cute and heavy. So when BABYMETAL announced that they will be doing a collaboration of Poppy, From Me to You, it felt like a match. It felt like a match in kawaii metal heaven. Okay, it seemed like it would do well. And for right now, From Me to You is that track is doing really well. The music video is doing well, and it's a track that I really like. I listen to quite a bit. And what about you? What do you guys think about the track From Me to You? Baby Metal even described it as a kawaii metal song with Poppy shouts with their signature dance and a Neo Tokyo vibe. I think with Poppy there, it felt like a good mix. And with Poppy joining them to play live, or now some might split hairs there, be like Poppy didn't really play live with Baby Metal with that song, except for maybe some select venues. Okay, I hear you. My thing I want to talk about here is that while I think this mix sounds like it would be celebrated and people would like it, not everyone's feeling the love. Here's where it gets messy. Okay, there are some posts, of course, some naysayers and stuff, on X and whatever social media. Some Baby Metal fans call Poppy unhinged or a fake metal artist, which is ironic, accusing her of not being metal enough for their idols, which is ironic. Look, I get it. Fandoms are passionate, and Baby Metal fans, known as the One, are some of the most devoted out there. They have defended Su Metal, Moa Metal, and Mo Metal against gatekeepers for years, and rightfully so. But then to turn around and throw some hate, some shade at Poppy, that's binoculars to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. The irony there is very potent, right? Baby Metal was slammed in the beginning, right? Slammed for being blending pop and metal, being too pop, for being manufactured by a talent agency, for their playful aesthetic. I mean, that sounds familiar, right? Sounds like someone else that we're talking about here. Sounds like Poppy, maybe. Yeah. Poppy started off as pop. Poppy started off as doing some weird, interesting kind of eccentric videos on YouTube. And she entered the music industry in a different way. But lately, she's been metal. And she does it. And the complaints that you could say about her were once said by people who hate Baby Metal, right? Towards Baby Metal, right? So are you and about doing the same thing? Poppy, in her own way, is very playful, but in her own way. Okay, she blends kind of pop elements with metal elements. Same thing as Baby Metal does. Poppy blends like the kind of cute girl aesthetic with the harsh, as someone would say, like a girl throwing a tantrum. Okay, like a girl just like flipping tables and angry. Yes. She combines a fun, almost kind of like maybe satirical, playful demeanor with a kind of I'm here to wreck stuff up attitude. Now, Baby Metal has much more of a I would say, if you want to compare, Baby Metal has much more of a positive display, more playful display. Sure, okay, fine. But Poppy's been open about her artistic evolution, moving from pop to metal because it's what she loves, just like Baby Metal. And just like Baby Metal, I think she's pushing boundaries and kind of saying, this is what, you think metal's supposed to be this way. Like this I can do metal too. I could do it and I could do it well. I mean, she does it really well. Now let's talk about the irony for a second, because that's what's potent here. That's the main thing. That's the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Baby Metal's own history is a masterclass of overcoming hate. Okay, when they first played their live shows over, I think it was Sonosphere. And they were first playing that. Okay? It was not like the crowd received them in open arms. Okay? That's not exactly what happened. If you listen to the Baby Metal radio show, you even got a little bit of that. And then when they first played, the crowd was silent. The crowd seemed to not really know who they are. The crowd seemed to be judging them. But they kept playing. They played, and they pulled through. They won over the crowd. Okay? But it's not just that crowd. It's other shows as well during that time. What's the story? The Download Festival story, right? I believe it's the Download Festival story where the manager or whoever the guy is was defiant or refused to allow Baby Metal to be there. Even though around that time, people were like, no, Baby Metal can be here. That was someone in the industry gatekeeping. Okay? Eventually that changed, but it took hard work. It took a lot of work, and it took dedication. You know, the girls could have given up, but they did not do that. And what they ended up doing was opening for bands like Metallica and stuff like that, okay? Now, is Poppy's path like the same? It seems like it in a similar way. Now, some already will have problems with this because it's not a direct one-to-one comparison. But there are people in the metal community that when they see Poppy, they see someone that's fake. They see someone who's just pretending to be metal. She's not really metal because she wasn't metal from the beginning. As if there aren't metal artists that have done other things that sold out, right? As if people can't change what they're into. But she does that. And she even produces the harsh vocals live. When someone's doing that, like, come on. Like, they are in it, okay? She could be making more money continuing to do the pop stuff. But no. She wants to do metal, which is not a genre that's like, booming, at least in my perspective anyway. With her album, I Disagree, which I reviewed, and I thought it was a really good album. I really liked it. It got metalheads buzzing, and she has done well for herself. So calling her fake is like calling Baby Metal fake, in my opinion here. It's gatekeeping, and it's not really, it doesn't seem to be what the Baby Metal fandom would be about. After all, Baby Metal has a song about no more bullying, IDZ. So why hate? Why hate on Poppy like that? Some fans on X suggest it's tribalism. It could be like Baby Metal fans versus Poppy fans. You're going to get that. Each side being protective. Sure. Yeah, that happens. And then there's the thing that, metal's supposed to be about rebellion and the mentality of like my team versus your team. Yeah. It could be kind of tribal like that. It could be about like the fight, I guess. It doesn't have to be. We don't need the gatekeeping. I mean, Baby Metal's whole deal is breaking rules anyway, like mixing J-pop with metal. Wearing tutus while dancing to shredding metal and inspiring everyone from everyone in all walks of life. And being recognized by established metal bands like, Metallica, for one. I mean, they are legendary. I mean, some of you guys might think they've passed their prime and all that, but they have achieved a legendary status, which they hold on. They've done quite well for themselves. And I think Poppy is doing the same. Blending genres, bringing new fans to metal. I think their collaboration on the Metal 4th album, From Me to You, alongside artists like Spirit Box and Slaughter to Prevail, it shows that Baby Metal is about building bridges, not walls. So let's be real. From Me to You is a banger. Now, you may not agree, but the numbers show otherwise. It's a banger. Okay? Poppy shouts and Baby Metal's dance moves. That's kind of the chaos that they were wanting for that song. And that's what you got. I say, for the bottom line of this, Baby Metal and Poppy are doing similar things. Similar things-ish. Okay? They're blending genres. They're both in metal. They're both in metal, and they're proud to be in metal. It is them. While there's a whole world of people around them who say otherwise. Who say that they're fake. That they're pretending. That they're not real metal, right? Of course, over time, hopefully that voice gets smaller, right? That's what we're hoping for. Baby Metal fans have fought against the gatekeepers for years. And it's been a good fight. I've won over a lot of hearts and minds. But now let's not become the gatekeepers ourselves. Right? Let's not do that. So, this would be a time where I take a shot and a celebration, but I don't have a clean shot glass here. This one's dirty, that one's dirty, and all that stuff. I'll tell you what, I'll crack this open. Let's raise a glass for Baby Metal and Poppy and the future of metal. Okay? May they continue to rock. They'll continue to rock, and we'll keep supporting them. And heavy metal never dies. See y'all next time.